There's somebody that said that they're pro-life and they want to join.
Yeah, if you're pro-life and want to join, send a guest request right now. We'll accept you in right now as soon as you send it.
It's the Dustin Robs guy.
Dustin, you have to have 1,000 followers. You
He
do. Make sure to
does?
send a guest
Yeah.
request. And I see you.
There we go.
I'll let you all take this one.
Hi, Dustin. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Why you pro-life?
Well, I have 3 kids. So I mean, oh, sorry, I had a call. I have 3 kids, so they're a pretty good reason to be pro-life. It's just really hard for me to look at it and say, like, I get certain circumstances like rape and being a teen and stuff like that, but I also think there's a lot of ways to prevent unwanted pregnancy outside of rape. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. I understand, but I also don't think at the same time that person should go 3 or 4 months into a pregnancy knowing full well that they don't want to keep that baby. So in those instances, I think it's something that should be dealt with quickly, because I do believe that, like we're saying, pro-life or pro-choice, I do believe it is a life. Whether you want to put stipulations on it for how long it's been there, if it has conscious thought, or whatever argument you might have.
Alive?
Say what?
Is a plant a life?
No, not
A plant is not alive. Why not?
Are you sure?
Oh, plant. A plant is a plant alive. Yes, a plant is alive.
Do you give plants moral consideration?
Oh.
Well, you just said without consciousness, without sentience. So
I
you
said
just
if that's
said
your
a life.
argument.
I don't know why I can't finish a thought without you speaking.
Because you're changing my
Is
words.
it
I
very
didn't say. I
hard
said
to
if that's
give
the
me the
argument.
space to speak and actually listen to what I'm saying?
Well, you didn't listen to what I said. You're changing my words.
I'm not. Did you not say a life is a life? That's still a life?
The argument is pro-life. Pro-life means life.
That's
and I
not
said
what I
whether you want
asked.
to. Yes, a life is a life.
Isn't that what you said?
Correct. Yes.
So now I gave you another example of life, like a plant, and I'm asking you if you give it the same moral consideration.
Absolutely not. Every time I step on the grass, I do not think about it.
Why?
Because it's grass.
That
It doesn't have
circular.
feelings. It doesn't have feelings.
Neither
There's
does a
no
zygote or
human
embryo.
attachment to it.
An embryo does not have feelings.
But how do you know that?
What is an embryo?
It's a baby that's not completely grown yet.
Can you tell me what time period in human development an embryo is?
No, go ahead and tell me.
It's implantation to 8 weeks.
Okay.
So when we look at feelings, when we look at consciousness, when we look at sentience, all these things are found in the brain, and between that time period, there is no brain.
Okay.
So that's how I can assert through science that an embryo does not have feelings.
Yeah, we can measure
Well,
that. At what point consciousness is metaphysically possible to be perceived. So since there are certain structures available at that developmental stage, which would be around 20 to 24 weeks, we can assume that that's when it occurs.
And I can appreciate that. But once again, I said that to me, life is still life with a child. Grass, I mean, that's a completely different argument if you want to talk about plants.
Well,
I'm talking about a human life.
Tell me what the difference is.
The difference is that 2 people made a choice to bring that life into being. I didn't choose to bring the grass into being.
Plant life and human life to where you give it different moral consideration.
I mean, do you give them different moral consideration and put them on the same level? Would you put a full-grown human's life at the
It's not
same
my
level as
argument.
a piece of grass?
She does.
That's not the
She
argument I'm
does
making.
make a difference. She's asking if you do.
Yes, to me, there is a massive difference between plants and human life. Yes.
Yes,
What is
and we
it?
have already evaluated what it is, and we have also told you that it wouldn't be available at the point where you wouldn't allow an abortion. So
Right, and like I said, I appreciate that. I mean, I get your point of view. I've actually listened to you guys for a long time. I listen, and I love these debates that you guys have, because at the same time, while you guys do have a very focused opinion that I pretty much disagree with the vast majority of the time, I like the fact that you guys have your own opinion, which is pretty cool. And my mom's German; she's from Berlin, so was ist los? Wie geht's dir? So.
Do
good,
you think
but
that opinions are more valid when they're rooted in fact?
I don't think anybody's opinion, even mine, really actually matters. I think we're all insignificant specks that are going to be gone one day. And I mean,
Then I
I
feel
think
that
right
would
now it's fun
discount
to
your
have those
pro-life
arguments.
stance.
Yeah, right now it's fun to have those arguments, but I think there's a morality that comes into it when it's a child, when it's a baby. I mean, have you had an abortion, Kinsey, before, if you don't mind me asking?
Yes.
Wait, so things matter, but they don't matter at the same time?
Well, I'm talking about in the grand spectrum of things. Yeah, I don't think things matter.
I'm
So
also
in
a
the grand
mother.
spectrum
What's your
of things
point?
don't matter, what do you mean by that?
I mean, it's pointless to try and control the uncontrollable. It's kind of like me trying to get you guys to understand the way that I think, because that's how I was raised. I mean, you guys
There's
have your own
argumentation.
views.
That's how we decide that.
yeah, and in addition, like your opinion does definitely have an impact on other individuals. So if you vote for pro-life legislations, it will definitely make an impact on the accessibility for, uterus owners to practice their right to health care. So
Right.
yeah, I don't think it's just like I like chocolate ice cream and you like vanilla ice cream. Let's agree to disagree. It is
Yeah.
it's a matter that impacts people.
Yeah, if nothing matters, why would you come and debate it anyway?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I get what you're saying on that. But no, for yeah, that's a good point, Parker. Yeah,
If we are
in the
so
grand-
insignificant, what makes the fetus significant? That's a good question.
That's a good question, man. I don't know. I think it's fun, in the moment to be able to talk about things like that, because we are significant while we're here, but in the end, no, we're not significant. In the big picture, we're not significant. That's probably more what I mean.
Yeah,
but
what do
while
you
we're
mean by
here,
big
everything
picture, we're not
seems to matter.
significant?
Because, like I said, we're not going to be here forever. I mean, these opinions that we're having now, I mean, like, think about it, man. Like 100 years ago, I mean, half the things that people do these days would not be accepted 100 years ago. Look how much it's changed, the thoughts of those people then. So, I mean, their opinions from 100 years ago really don't matter anymore. I mean, there was slavery, gays were looked down upon and killed, and
They still
I mean,
experience
witchcraft and
marginalization and oppression because of those opinions.
Exactly. So
Right,
when
but-
you implement like pro-life legislations, they will have a significant impact for many years, and it will pretty much rumble throughout history. Like, don't you think that your actions have consequences? Like, that's crazy. Isn't that pro-lifer's entire argument?
Well, I don't think that in the end, my opinion is actually going to
Yes, it
matter
will.
on the point. No,
It
it
will.
won't, because I'm not going to vote for it, because in the end, I really don't think that our votes matter either. So I don't think
That's
it's a democracy
crazy.
anymore.
That's
I'm crazy.
crazy.
Ouch.
You know why? Because I literally cannot vote, and I would absolutely love to practice my right to vote and influence the society that I live in. And you're just pretty much shitting on that right. And I think it's really, really saddening how people feel about that. That's
Well,
the
that's your
reason.
opinion. I mean,
All right.
fortunately, I was born in this country. I mean, my mother, like I said, is from Germany, and she's unable to vote too, and she wanted me to vote Biden. But I didn't like Trump or Biden. I think they're both idiots.
All right. Well, if you want to live that way, I guess I can't do anything.
He's like literally saying nothing.
In the end, I'm pro-life. So if you guys want to skip me and go to somebody else and you feel like it's dead end,
Well,
that's
you
fine.
don't
But
debate though.
say what?
You don't debate though. You haven't still answered my question what the moral differentiation is that you give between plant life and human life, even in embryonic life.
Is that it's a human life. I mean, I don't understand why there has to be
Why does human
an
life have intrinsic
explanation of
value?
because we're capable of thought and we're able to know the difference.
So,
And
but
in
an
the end,
embryo does not have thought. So
but the embryo will have thought. And
it
two people
may.
that do have thought came
It
together
may
to
have
make
thought.
that
It
embryo.
doesn't have the capacity at the time.
Correct. But two people came together that did have thought to create that embryo and create that life.
That's
So that's
irrelevant. What does that have to do with anything?
It's irresponsibility on their part. Why should a child have to pay for their irresponsibility, for their neglect?
Again, like, do you recognize that when an embryo is aborted, there's like no consciousness, there's no personality, there's none of these qualities that I would actually give to human life that I think has intrinsic value.
That
And
doesn't
that's
stop my
really
wife from
important
celebrating. It doesn't stop my wife from celebrating every single year our twins that were miscarried. Every single year that were not, they were like 2.5
That's
months.
such a hard pivot.
Well, I mean, you're saying basically the same thing, though. I mean, you're using a different argument to fight my argument. So, I mean, like, it's not. You're saying that there's no emotional attachment because of a lack of consciousness,
I'm
but
not
that's not
saying that
really the
there's no
case.
emotional attachment. People can place emotional attachment on inanimate objects. I'm a very sentimental person.
Okay.
My argument is that when we look at what we give intrinsic value to, I don't think you can just hinge it on the fact that you are simply human. When we look at who we should give moral consideration to and rights. Because I do think that your stance overall really weaponizes pregnancy against women. And that's something that I take issue with.
So do you prioritize, I guess, plants then over human life?
No.
Do you believe
I
they
feel
have
like you just
intrinsic
did
value?
not listen to anything that I said.
We're trying to differentiate between subjective value, which can also be given to a plant realistically. Like I could value my plant a lot because I like how it looks in my room. But we're trying to identify what gives us humans intrinsic value, and you have already given us pretty much an answer to it. It's our ability to rationalize, it's our ability to experience our surroundings in some way or shape or form, or have like subjective experiences, and that is
Correct.
not present. That is simply not present prior to 20 to 24 weeks. Do you value your sperm?
No.
It's human, it's unique, it has its own unique DNA, and by that standard, it would also be cellular life, like a zygote, single cellular life. Why is that not granted moral consideration by your standard?
That's actually, I've never heard it that way before. That's a good question as well.
Yeah, I think that you are applying your own sentiment incorrectly. You don't have any reason for it. It's just like more of an intuition thing. That's how you feel, which is fine, but
Correct, which is what I said
from his Christian
coming
beliefs.
into it. I
Yeah.
told you I'm
From his
agnostic.
Christian beliefs, which
I'm not Christian. I'm agnostic. I told
Yeah,
you
but
that.
you
see,
are
we're
now, but I
trying
think you can have some ideologies that are still rooted and one can be that women are designed to just have children.
Yeah, no, I disagree with that.
Literally.
Well, see, the thing is, we're really trying to like analyze with you why you feel that way. Because I mean, I have certain beliefs that I think are right, and then I get pressed on them, and I start questioning myself, and then I understand, hey, maybe I was thinking.
Feel that abortion is wrong. I mean, like I'm very pro-life. I mean, I don't have a reason for it. I don't believe it's really the. You know what, Kenzie? It might be the Christian side. Like growing up, like I said, I was raised Christian, and it might have something to do with that. But in the way that I was raised, but I do not believe that women are just here. I'm not a misogynist, so to believe to say that I just believe that women are here to make babies.
Well, tell me why you find it ethical to force a person with a capacity for pregnancy to sustain pregnancy and give birth against their will.
I mean, I would never get into a situation with somebody to have a baby if they didn't want to have a baby. Because I've been with my wife for 14 years. So
in your pro-life framework, even if someone wants an abortion, you think they should be forced to sustain pregnancy and give birth against their will. And I don't see how you can.
No, I think it goes back further. I think it goes back further than that for me. I believe that people should actually be in a relationship, and I believe that people these days are very fickle when it comes to relationships and marriages and stuff like that. And I believe that people are irresponsible. So I think that it's sad to bring a child into that.
Yeah, you're actually statistically more likely to have an abortion in a long-term committed relationship. So
Yeah.
That's sad. That's sad. I didn't know that.
People who get abortions are in long-term committed relationships.
And it's like a math question almost. Like if you have a partner and you're constantly sexually active, and even if you use contraceptives, like the 1% to occur, or the likelihood of the contraception to fail at some point, is definitely more likely to happen if you are, in a committed relationship. Like the odds, you know what I mean?
I'm going to look that up for myself afterwards just to see and
yeah, we're not
kind of make sure what y'all are saying about relationships, people being in relationships, and with abortions.
14% of abortions are married people. If we look at single, never married, 31% are cohabitating. Of the remaining, I think it's 24%, half of those people were impregnated by the person they were living with, that they were dating a year or more. And it's typically when you're in a relationship, you're just more likely to be having more sex.
Yeah.
Well, so I think it's this huge pro-life notion that women who get pregnant and want abortion.
Understand that I'm. Say what?
What's the irresponsible action you're pointing to?
Bringing a child into it. I mean, there's lots of ways to have protected sex to where a child doesn't, where there is no conception of a child at all.
Over 50% of abortions occur due to failed contraceptives. So
Yeah,
over half.
Maybe we should just mandate that men get vasectomies.
Why would you mandate men get vasectomies?
Well, what do they need their semen for if they don't want to have kids?
Oh, okay. You're saying, okay. So I thought you were just saying we're going to mandate men to have vasectomies. You didn't really specify. Men that don't want to have kids. That is what I
said. No, yeah, I think all
men. That's not what you said. But I think that that's actually.
I'm fully aware of what I said. Yes, I think men should be mandated to get vasectomies, and when they're ready to have a family with a willing partner, then they can have them reversed.
Yeah, I mean, I have a vasectomy, right?
I have a question, Dustin. So, what if
Sure.
it happens, even though you had a vasectomy? Because I mean, vasectomies are probably one of the safest form to prevent pregnancies, but it can still occur. So,
Yeah, but
what
my
if
wife
it
also
does,
uses.
and
My wife
your
is also
wife?
on birth control.
Oh, well, what if it doesn't? What if it does occur, regardless of all the
Well,
odds? You guys were
we
being responsible, and all of a sudden, it happens.
then we would have that child.
What if your wife doesn't want
100%.
to? What if
My
she
wife.
doesn't
That
want to
doesn't
have
mean that
abortion?
you won't need an abortion.
Yeah.
Right. Well, if it comes down to health risks and health issues, then I mean, yeah, absolutely, I'm gonna pick my wife first because that's my partner. But to say why would she like if she would choose that, she wouldn't choose that. I mean, I know my wife.
I mean, I'm sure you know
What if
your
she
wife,
did?
but what if she did? That's what we're asking. Like more the hypothetical of.
Or 70. There's a six. I can't even speak. The success rate for within 3 years of getting a vasectomy is 75%. From 3 to 8 years, it's 55%. From 9 to 14 years, it's 40 to 45%. And then from 15 years to 19 years, it's 30%. So
It continues
no,
to go down.
I'm definitely against that in general. But like yeah, no,
There are
I would
actually
like to
new
ask.
procedures where they're not surgical.
And y'all, by the way, the source was from the NHS. So
I mean, well, we do. I mean, I mean, if there's no
no. I'm
quality
asking
of
if you
life.
think that we should be able to or not. Like
Well, I mean,
let
that's
the
what I'm
family
saying. I
decide.
mean, if there's no quality of life, then I mean, at that point, absolutely, because I mean, at that
Oh,
point, that
okay.
person is just there. I mean,
Yeah, Dustin. So there's no quality of life for a fetus prior to it having consciousness. So do you think it would be okay to get an abortion before consciousness?
well, that's really a different case though, because the fetus isn't putting itself in a situation to where, I mean, it's not getting a chance to have that life. The person that has gone brain dead, probably something happened to them that put them in that situation. I mean, so they're two
Yeah, but the
completely
thing
opposing
is,
situations.
if you're
They're
going
really
to
not.
if you're going to end moral
They are.
consideration,
They're exactly.
if you're going to end
You said what?
if you're going to end moral consideration when they don't have consciousness, why wouldn't you begin moral consideration when they do have consciousness?
Well, if they're brain dead, they don't have consciousness.
Exactly.
Right,
But
that's the point.
if they're a fetus prior to consciousness, they don't have consciousness either.
Correct. And I agree with that, but they're also not being, like I said, given the chance to have that consciousness. It's being
Okay, so
taken
you
away
value
from
their
somebody.
potential? You value that potential?
Correct.
Do you
I
value that
do.
potential
Yes.
more than someone's bodily autonomy?
I do. Yes. Because I'll
Why
say this,
so?
like my last son, and I don't know who all his parents in here, but my last son that was born was not planned. My wife, we had just had our daughter, and women are very fertile apparently after pregnancy, and so we got pregnant again. And I will say that I'm very happy that we have him, because that kid is the most like me out of all the kids that I have. So yes, I absolutely um,
I
see
had an
potential
abortion at
in a child.
21. I had an abortion at 21 and I had my son at 30. So I could make the same argument. And if I wouldn't have had my abortion, I wouldn't have my son today.
Yeah, also Dustin, you're kind of going away from the question that I asked you in relation to brain dead people.
Sure. What? So can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So if you
Hey,
end
I
moral,
can drop the block.
oh go yeah, okay,
Actually,
go for it, Kiara. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you. Yeah, so like again, if you end moral consideration when someone like ends consciousness, why don't you begin it with consciousness as well? Like what's valuable? Why or actually we already answered, you already answered that. Why is potential more valuable than bodily autonomy?
I mean, it's kind of like if you look at, say, like a football player, right? So we got a whole bunch of rookies that came in this year that have pretty much endless potential, but they could also get hurt along the way and not get to play out in the end. So I mean, it's kind of the same question, like taking a rookie and growing it. It could grow to be something great, or it could just be gone. So
Yeah,
I mean,
again,
That's a false comparison. The more accurate comparison would be like you see LeBron James on the basketball court at 13. He has the potential to go to the NBA. You just take him off the basketball court at 13 and slap him in there and pay him $35 million a year. We want potential to actualize.
exactly. You're valuing potential more than something that's actual. So again, why would potential be enough to assign you rights?
well, apparently, potential is not enough to assign you rights.
Yeah, so
I mean, you don't have an obligation to me.
okay, so then I don't have to sustain the pregnancy prior to having consciousness. So I can get an abortion up until consciousness, and it's justified.
Like I said, for I disagree with it if you're the one that decided to do the action and create the child. When it comes to
legally, should you be allowed to get an abortion up until consciousness?
I don't believe so. No,
So why not? Based upon what we just laid out.
because I mean, still my basis is the same. I'm pro-life. I don't believe in having an abortion. I mean, now when it comes down to like rape and stuff in certain different situations, then yes, I agree with it. I understand that there's situations that women do not put themselves into, and there's some fucking terrible.
So essentially, it's to punish women.
You said what?
Essentially, women only deserve bodily autonomy if they are dying or if they have been raped. Like, why do you want to punish women for having sex?
Well, the men do get punished for it. They do have to pay child support for the.
I'm not asking about men. I'm asking about women. Why do you want to punish women for having sex? Why do you want to force them to sustain pregnancy and give birth against their will for having sex?
I think both of the people. I think that both of the people used their will to have a child, and both of those people should have the child. I mean that's just. I mean, when you mess up, you should take responsibility for it, right? Whether you did the right thing or the wrong thing, it doesn't really matter.
I think an abortion is taking responsibility.
I don't think it is.
You can recognize that you do not have the capacity to care for the child, that the child deserves parents who can provide, who want the child, who have the emotional maturity. If those qualifiers aren't met, I think it's very responsible for them not to bring an unwanted child into this world.
But that's to say that the child is not wanted. There's tons of people out there that can't have children who would love to have that child.
Adoption is a solution for parenting, not for pregnancy. Again, how does someone opt out of pregnancy?
You don't.
So again, why do you want to punish women? Because women are the one who have the burden of pregnancy to sustain it simply just for having sex. Tell me why that is a punishable offense.
Do you really? So you're making the argument that women really are the only ones that are punished here? I mean, it's not so much a punishment as taking responsibility. That's not the way that I look at it. I mean, you're trying to get me to say something that
you're just not
disagree with.
You're just not
responsibility.
No, it's not a punishment.
It is. You're like, no, you don't get this option. How is that not a punishment?
When did I say about the benefit? I mean, I'm talking about abortion. I'm not talking about pregnancy benefits. I mean,
so
I don't understand how those.
So, Dustin, when you're talking about consensual intercourse that leads to leads to pregnancy, you're referring to this responsibility. Correct. Can you just elaborate on this responsibility?
I think it's the responsibility of the two people that brought that child into being to take care of that child.
Okay, take care. Okay, so like some sort of obligation that they have to protect their offspring?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How are you grounding this? Like, why do I have to protect my offspring?
I mean, why wouldn't you? Isn't that kind of the whole point of intercourse in the first place? Why we all have that need,
No.
that drive is to continue the human race? Or no, it's
Wait,
just
I'll
a
ask
fun
it
thing
again.
and we can bring a child into it and kill
Sex
it.
has three different purposes. One can be for the biological outcome of pregnancy. The other are psychological and social. For you to reduce sex to simply its biological function is very dehumanizing.
I would also say you didn't answer my question. I can ask again. But I'm just asking how you're grounding obligation, why I ought to care for my offspring.
Because in that case, you would be a mother, whether you decide to keep that child or not.
So I should care for my offspring because I should care for my offspring. It
Yes.
seems very
I'm a
circular.
father and I take care of my offspring. I mean, that's my job. I brought them into this world. It's my responsibility. I take care of them. So, yes, 100%. If you believe a mother shouldn't take care of their offspring or even have the feeling that they should. I mean, Kinsey, I'm sorry. I hate to bring it up. I know you said that you did have an abortion. Do you tell me that you never think about that? You never wonder what that child's life would have
No,
been like? You never
no,
do? That's
no.
terrible. That's
Why?
fucking terrible. That's
Why? When you
horrible.
masturbate, do you think of all those little sperm that were never conceived?
Yeah, I'm still not understanding why I have this obligation. I haven't really gotten an answer.
Tell me what the difference is, Dustin.
I did give you an answer, Glock.
Wait, I
No,
didn't
you
I didn't
didn't.
hear
She's
an
asking you a
answer.
philosophical question, and you literally can't answer
I
it
gave
because
her I
your
gave her
river
my
doesn't run
answer. I
that
said
deep.
I think it's very basic. If you don't want to listen to the answer, that's fine. But I said I
No, you gave
believe that
her a
it's very basic. Reality.
You don't have
Oh,
morality
you want to
because
talk about
again, you haven't
morality?
ethically justified how it is, how it is ethical to engage in pregnancy coercion. You literally can't ground that.
I did not say that. When did I say that?
Forcing someone to
I didn't
have
say I
to
would force
say,
anyone.
shut
I didn't say
up.
I would force anyone.
You want it to be illegal. So making someone sustain pregnancy and give birth against their will is pregnancy coercion, which you don't find unethical.
No, I said that I want people to be responsible. Not that I'm going to get what I want. You
Define
probably won't get what you
responsibility.
want.
Define responsibility.
You define responsibility. Do you have the
I'm not the
definition in
one
front of
using
you?
it. I'm not the one using it. I want you to
What
give
do
me
you think?
context to your
Do I really need
definition.
to define responsibility for you?
Yes,
Do you not understand what
yes, because
responsibility is?
I have already argued against this point, saying that I do find it responsible. Because responsibility, if we take one definition, is just a duty to act. So if I'm pregnant, I have a duty to act. How I choose to act can fall under that umbrella of being responsible, which means an abortion, by definition, can be responsible.
And you know what? I don't disagree with that logic. But I think that it's
So you concede the
responsible
point.
only. I believe that
Is
it's
that a
only
concession?
responsible under certain circumstances.
Again,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Glock.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so Dustin, I mean, I came later on in the conversation, but
Correct.
why do you grant positive rights at conception? Also, everyone in the comments, dude, I am literally pro-choice. I am not pro-life. Like, just because I made a
Dark
TikTok and
Dustin.
Okay. Okay, Dustin, sorry. Why do you
I don't think he
grant
knows what
positive
rights are.
Okay. Why do you think that the fetus has this right to the mother's resources and property, i.e. her body?
Once again, because okay, let's just keep it on the mother. Since we're not going to bring men into this and we're going to make me look like a total fucking misogynist, that's fine. Because the mother made the choice to have sexual intercourse with a man.
Is sexual
Okay.
intercourse with a man illegal? Is that unethical? Is that immoral?
No, is sexual intercourse with a woman illegal? It's
So
really
then
a dumb
why?
question.
Well, if there's no crime that has been committed, why does someone lose rights to their body and have an obligation to someone?
At one point in time, there was not a choice. There wasn't.
What does that mean?
This is at one point in time when two people came together and had a child. That child was that they probably shouldn't fucking do, like abortion.
Parker, I'm so
Again,
confused.
that
Are you
doesn't
Abortion
answer
is
my
not
question.
natural.
It's muted.
It's not natural.
Abortion is natural. That's what a miscarriage
It's
is a
not
spontaneous abortion.
That's a miscarriage. It
A
is not a
miscarriage is called
spontaneous
a
abortion.
spontaneous abortion.
Yeah, it's involuntary.
Are you familiar with the death of Savita Halappanavar?
No, I'm not.
So she went into the doctor at 17 weeks pregnant, and it was concluded that she was most likely going to have a miscarriage because the sac was protruding from her body. However, her fetus still had a heartbeat, and under Irish law, she wasn't allowed to get an abortion. Unfortunately, her body did not expel the fetus fast enough, so she became septic and went into cardiac arrest.
You know what's funny is I'm reading the definition of a miscarriage here, and it does not say spontaneous abortion on it anywhere. So realistically,
more than
that's.
Scottie Pippen, Dustin.
I'm just saying, like, you gave it a definition. I looked it up. It's not there. So, I mean, you
You're
gave it a
incorrect.
false definition.
It's not
I'm
a false
incorrect. I'm
definition. You're
looking at the
incorrect.
fucking definition right now. I'm not incorrect.
I
You're
can pull it
incorrect.
up for you if you'd like. I'm not incorrect.
Dustin.
Yeah, pull it up.
Dustin, do you think
I will.
definitions are objective?
Yeah, I was just going to.
Yes, I know that there's a lot of different definitions for the same thing. Yes.
Yeah, so under Kenzie's framework, if she's just using the term abortion as the termination of pregnancy, then miscarriage would fall under that in her framework.
No, but she's using it to make her point correct.
No.
And that's not right.
You can
Well, it's her
rebuttal under
framework.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I'm also still confused about this obligation.
Well, he literally can't substantiate or ground any of his talking points in any kind of
No,
foundation.
because you go around in circles. You go around in circles and make up your own
go around in
definitions and
circles.
statistics
I'm
and shit.
not. Here. Okay, let me help you out, Dustin, because I guess research isn't your strong suit.
here, I'm gonna add another person, see if this person's pro-life. Yo, what's up? Are you pro-life?
Not really.
What do you mean?
I think my stance is the most decent stance. I think within the first 3 months, you're allowed to have abortion for no reason whatsoever. Okay, regardless of what you want, doesn't matter. After the 3 months, if the mother's life is in danger, I think at any given point you're allowed to have an abortion. I have no problem with that. I think after 3 months, it starts getting a little tricky.
Dustin, do you see my screen? I'm sorry,
Yeah, I
you
see
guys.
it.
Just 1 second. Great. So you see,
What's the website?
miscarriage, also called spontaneous
conversation.
abortion.
What's the website?
That's the Mayo Clinic.
The Male Clinic?
Mayo, Mayo.
Just
Kenzie, did you upgrade your mic? You sound so clear.
No, this is just my phone.
Oh.
I'm just yelling.
Wait, so are we arguing semantics over here? Is that the issue? We're arguing
They were
semantics?
just there.
Well, yeah, he can't argue anything else, so he called me a liar, saying that I didn't define something correctly. So yes, I did have to prove him wrong. But I'm done.
Let's not divulge into semantic arguments. At the end of the day, if you're pro-life, you're pro-life. Make that statement. If she's pro-choice, she's pro-choice.
But I'm sorry, Parker. I gotta get going. Thank you so much.
You're good. Don't worry. Have
Bye,
a great day,
Kenzie.
Kenzie.
Bye, Clark.
Yes, Orlando. I was going to ask you, what about 3 months is valuable?
So for simplicity's sake, for order, I follow my cultural / religious beliefs, which outline exactly when to and when not to do certain things. Right now, the religious beliefs that I ascribe to set the first trimester as just an initial axiom of, okay, the first trimester, without any reason, you're allowed to do that. Beyond that, it starts getting tricky. Now, it's not prohibited per se, but it's more of frowned upon after 3 months if there's no reason. Now, I'm not a late-term abortion guy by any means, unless the woman's life is in danger, right? So, 7 months, 8 months in, I think that's kind of wrong. You had your choice up to the 8 months, but I think that's
so you cut it off at 8 months legally?
Not like, guys. Once again, people start getting so picky with the times and stuff. Scenarios like this are very, very rare, right?
Yeah, it is pretty relevant in like setting up like a clear barrier. We set it around like 5 months in terms of like when consciousness is established within the fetus. So like setting like a standard is like pretty needed for the conversation.
What I'm saying, okay, so for me is around the first trimester. That's what we believe, and then after that, there's still some leeway if the woman's life is in danger. That is totally permissible. There's other and then if you do it after that, it gets a little vague. It's frowned upon necessarily. Third trimester is like, okay, that's no good. So I'm not a third trimester abortion guy. But once again, I'm not a woman. So I'm taking the stance of, listen, I'm not a woman, so I'm just saying what I generally believe. If your wife wants to get an abortion, you have to consult your wife and do something that you both agree on, right? I believe.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Is that
Yeah. So I was
Wait,
just like,
you said yours was the most decent stance? Sorry, that's funny.
Yeah, I was like,
I mean,
where's
from
the
what
legal
I've heard,
standard?
everyone's going crazy and everyone's going nuts. I think that having some level of leeway in this discussion, I think this is a very, I don't know. It is a decent stance, I think. The most decent stance I've heard.
Yeah. So where would you put the legal limit in terms of that? Because like I
Not
would
legal.
say that like
I'm not illegal.
So there's no legal standard. So you can get an abortion at any point during the pregnancy.
I'm not. I don't know. Women's pregnancy lasts 8.5 months. It's not even 9 months. Like 8.5 months, right? Generally, I don't know. Cut it off before the 7th month, I guess.
Before the 7th month. So what about the 7th month would say that you can get it prior to that point, but not after?
It's just the third trimester. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like if there's no like essential properties about it, it seems to just be an ambiguous like sort of standard that you're applying.
I'm saying legally. So what I would do is, if I was a lawmaker, I would take the morals out of it, because morally, I think religiously, culturally, we look at 4 months around is when you could consider the child conscious and breathing and living.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 months. Around.
Yeah, around there. And then I wouldn't push that morality on